My dear brother Obehi, I'm pleased to be on your podcast this evening. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started with this episode.
I am Austin Odile from Sasaro, an agrarian and very serene community in Akoko Edo local government area in Ward 7. I was born some 59 years ago. So, uh, parents who were farmers. My father was a trader in cocoa and produce, though both of them late now. And I come from a family of five, one girl who is deceased, and four males. And out of these four males, two of us are surviving and haven't lost three. So I had my primary education in then St. John's Anglican Primary School from 1968 to 1973. Thereafter, I moved to St. Charles College, Abavo, in present-day Ka, South Local Government Area of Delta State, and I graduated in 1979 with grade 1. And then thereafter, I taught briefly as an auxiliary teacher in Ososo Grammar School in Akoko Edo local government area. From them, I had a brief stint with Union Bank, after which in 1982, I gained admission into the then Bentel State University, Ekoma, and now Ambrose Ali University, having the privilege to be in the second set, and I graduated with a bachelor's honors degree in English and Literary Studies in 1986. I served my nation the compulsory National Youth Service Corps in the old Benue, and I had my primary assignments at Ida. Then I was discharged 1987, September. I was in Lagos, did some little bit of journalism here and there. Then those soft cell magazines, now defunct, Prime People and Co. Though it was, let me just leave that. It was just, this run of the mill thing. But I started my real work as a public officer with the defunct Directorate for Social Mobilization, MAMSA, that was set up by then self-styled military president, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, in 1987. Though I started work with the Directorate December 12th, 1988. And by 1992, there was a reorganization. MAMSA was dissolved, and from the ashes, it was merged with three other parastatals of the then Federal Ministry of Information to form the National Orientation Agency in 1993. So I've been there, and by His grace, I am the State Director of the National Orientation Agency, Edo State.
Thank you so much, sir. That is very rich a background of yours. So that is what we are going to be exploring today. It is very important for us. What we do here is we try to look at our history, who we are, where we are from, and of course also our politics also, because it talks about what is happening, current affair, what is going on today. Now, you grew up in Akoko Edo. Now, I want you to help us understand something, because you have been around us for 59 years. You are 59 years old. So that means you have a lot
Yes.
of history to teach us. In Africa, in Esa, okay, let me just say in Africa, it is said that what a man sees standing, sitting down a boy is on top of the mountain or on top of the tree cannot see it. He's talking of experience. So I want you to take us down to when you were still a young boy. What kind of community were you living in?
Okay. Actually, you see, I think when I remember my growing up years, it is with nostalgia, nostalgic memories. Because one, then it was purely a communal life where any child is not just the responsibility of the biological parents, but the responsibility of the entire community. So that when you're talking of morality, it was compulsory. It was the norm, you know, for you to at least trim yourself to obey or to keen to the values of the community. And there were values in the community. There were sacred, like respect for elders, integrity, honesty, hard work, and then to speak the truth. And then there were vices that were no go area for you. For example, telling lies, stealing, laziness, not attending church on Sundays, and for you to be seen to be playing pranks or smoking or drinking. These were no go areas. So morally, at least we were tailored, we imbibed the moral values of they were, in short, our parents or the community rather inculcated the correct moral values, family values that we imbibed, we not only imbibed, we internalized. And actually that has been the guiding and the directing force that has seen us a little personally, like myself, to where I am. In Sasaro then, and then Sasaro in particular, and then you generally, let me say, then it was Midwest before Bendel. You know, I attended, look, the quality of education, for example, I had from my village primary school could compare favorably with the knowledge, the teachings of present day SS3. I'm telling you the truth. And of course, things were easy. It was like free education. Even if we were buying books and uniform, but they were not paying anything. We were fitted on any national celebration, Children's Day, Independence. We ate rice. I mean, the then Midwest State Government Ministry of Education, they will bring goat and ram to us with bags of rice with the condiments to cook. And then, of course, when I entered to the secondary school in 1974, after my first year, because I was in the first one, two, three, first, second, third, first term, second term, third term, we were all gathered, we were all taken to Benin, the administrative headquarters of the then Midwest, to sit for a scholarship interview, aptitude test. And it was like I never knew anybody, a rural boy, because things were done the right way. It was like merit. Once you pass this prescribed examination, you, in short, automatically you had access, you had, the government scholarship. And that was right from class two up to my final year in 1979, class five. I had a government, merit academic scholarship from the then Midwest State government. And it would have run up to the university if I had not broken it. That if I had sat for JAMB in 1978 and I made Division One and any of the universities, because then it was concessional, we were to be the second set to write JAMB in 1978. JAMB happened taken off in 1977. And so I missed it because I lost my uncle, who was my foster, guardian. And then so there was no way I could go on. And that was how I lost that scholarship. So my mates, for example, who continued, who equally enjoyed the scholarship, they had that scholarship all through their university. So then and now, there is no basis for comparison. And that is the truth.
Thank you so much for that, sir. We are going to come to this comparison maybe later or maybe not. Okay, let me talk a little bit about the comparison in that from what you explained in your childhood, when you were growing up in the same Nigeria, you are not talking of the United States now or maybe in England. This is the same Nigeria. Compare it to what is happening today. It looks like the difference between heaven and hell.
That is it. And
So
that
it
is the
is
truth.
it's really quite frightening. Anyway, let us remain there still a little bit. Now, your people, the people of Sasaro, what did they live by? What tell me about the kind of occupation at the time?
Okay, I started by saying it's a sleeping and serene agrarian town. We grow, in short, the people, we are predominantly farmers. Predominantly farmers. We grow subsistence, crops and cash crops. Yam, then yam, rice, beans, various varieties of beans we grow. Yam, cassava, rice, and then of course the area is known being in the same belt with the western region. We grow a lot of cocoa. My father had the largest cocoa farm in that part of the state, and that was why he was a merchant. You traded up to Ibadan, and then across Cotonou. He was known for that. And so we grow cocoa, we grow cashew. Cocoa and coffee. And of course, we talk of plantain and banana. Not this paranta that is later day, whatever. The original banana, sweet banana. So we were predominantly farmers, and then we are known for this soured gari, the soured gari at least. That is what we are known for. And then we mill palm oil too. We mill oil, red oil, because we have plenty of oil palm trees in the farms. Of course, when you plant cocoa and all the rest, you intersperse with palm trees, then coffee, and then we're growing cotton too. This cotton lint for textile. So we're predominantly farmers.
As we are moving towards the National Orientation Agency, where you are the boss in Benin, in Edo State, if maybe a child were to ask you now, what happened between that heavenly paradise, as it were, to the kind of hellish situation that we have today in Nigeria, what would you say?
Well, first of all, let me talk a little bit about the National Orientation Agency. The National Orientation Agency is the foremost advocacy organ of government, charged with the responsibility of educating and sensitizing citizens on government policies, programs, and activities. And then we equally serve as a feedback channel to between the government and the people. And we do this by collecting and collating opinions of citizens on government programs, policies, and activities. Their takes on these activities, and then we send to government. And that is by way of inclusivity, making sure that the people have a say in how they are governed. Then, having said that, we not only serve the federal government, though it's a federal government agency, we serve both the federal, the state, and the local government. So we don't discriminate. The agency is non-partisan. That is for sure. The agency is non-partisan. Then, having said that, I want to say that when you look at the past and the present, and you see the decay, some persons who want to leave the blame squarely at the doorstep of the leaders. But we at the National Orientation Agency, we don't buy that idea. That as you have the leaders, you have the followers. It takes two to tango. Like in my place, if you listen to the late MK Abiola, the presumed winner of the 1993 election that was annulled, he said you cannot remove lice from the head with one finger. And you can only do that with two, that is with your big finger and your index finger and another one. So what I mean to say is, when people just blame the leaders are a product of the society. And who enthrones these leaders is the followers. Only for 21 years now, we have had unbroken democratic governance. And there have been consistent elections. No matter how flawed these elections are, the people were elected, leaders were elected. And so, what is the role of followers in governance? Because the constitution has conferred sovereignty on the people. That sovereignty resides on the people. And so if we let this slide, like they say in law, if you sleep over your rights, you lose them. It is because the people have not known, has refused to know the awesome power the constitution has bestowed and conferred on them. And that is why I believe whatever is happening now is happening the way it is to. Forgetting that you have all other variables that contribute to where we are today. You talk of ethnicism, you talk of primordial interests, religious and ethnic sentiments. All these ones, definitely, at the time you aggregate all of them. For example, a public officer is admonished for dipping his hand in the till. Instead of the people from his immediate home constituency allowing the relevant agency do diligent investigations to see the outcome, you see they will arrange hired crowd, placards all over. Oh, this is persecution. It is because it's our son, because our son is there. So all these definitely are not appropriate to deepen democratic ethos. And that is the truth. So to me, to us, that is the bane. That is why when we go out, we try to educate, to conscientize the people for them to know, to educate them on the dictates, the spirit and letter of the constitution as it concerns elections, what election is really. That the election, at least we know there is a rounds of election that every 4 years the constitution has provided a platform opportunity for the people to examine those who are in power and then to say, yeah, the time has come. Do an introspection, an analysis. Have they performed well? If yes, you can return them if they so do to present themselves. If not, you have the authority of your vote, which is your permanent voters card, to present yourself on that day at your polling unit, cast your vote at least to ensure that you change the leadership through the ballot.
I agree with you. In fact, I've stated it here a couple of times that the time have come for us to actually begin to understand that we are the one that actually have the power. If the Nigerian people are not corrupt, a politician that is corrupt will be afraid to be corrupt.
Yes.
In fact, it will be impossible to produce a leader that is corrupt because the leadership usually, and in most of the cases, is a reflection of the people.
Of course.
But having said that, that is like the question of the chicken, or the chick and the eggs, of who comes first. I think that is where the work of the National Orientation Agency comes in. Now, help me understand this. Who is supposed to teach the people about this right? Because when we take up the Nigerian Constitution, we see this high grammar, this high verbi thing that were put there. Of course, you don't expect my mother to understand that. You certainly do not expect my father to understand that too. So who is going to break it down for them to understand this contract between the leads and the leaders?
Good. We're talking, actually, the constitution, the 1999 constitution as amended, that is still being amended because the process is ongoing now. I think almost 141 clauses have been transmitted by the National Assembly to the 36 states houses of assembly for them to deliberate and then either agree or disagree, so that they'll go back to the National Assembly. Now it is the response. One, first and foremost, like I said, my agency is a foremost advocacy organ of government. We part of our mandate is to educate. There's what we call political education, voter education, voter information. Then there is the civic duties, civic rights and responsibilities. And the Constitution has been translated into major Nigerian languages. Like in Edo, for example, just as you have the English version, you have the Pidgin version, you have Edo, Yoruba, because where I come from, part of Edo North, for example, even some parts of Edo South, of your Southwest, you know, uh, these boundary towns. So we have a lot of Yoruba speaking areas. So that is why you have Yoruba. And so over time, since 1999, even before 1999, at least all the other constitutions, the national orientation has mass produced these constitutions, distributed free of charge. And as we do that, we just extract some salient points. For example, the area that deals with the fundamental rights of citizens, the area that deals with the obligations of government to citizens and the responsibility of citizens to government. And then, of course, the area that deals with elections, from the presidency to the National Assembly, governorship, state houses of assembly. And of course, when it comes to the local government tier, the Constitution has provided for the establishment of the states independent electoral commissions that are administered by the states. And so, like I said before, the National Orientation Agency does not just does the job or educate the people or sensitize the people on federal government policies and activities. We do that for the state. We do that. So when it comes to, like I said, no, let me not kid or stay from this present the democratic dispensation that came into force in 1999. We have, between then and now, I cannot begin to tell you, the volume of translations we have done, the number we have mass produced in pamphlets now, like I said, extracting from the main those we think are relevant that the people should know, most especially about their rights, because information is key. Because you hear of human rights violations, we believe that when an individual is aware of his rights as conferred on him by the Constitution, then nobody will violate him. Nobody, no matter how highly placed, or any uniform organization, for example, will not, because we come to the realization that these things happen because most citizens are ignorant of the dictates of the Constitution. And so it's an ongoing thing. But one thing is, you see, uh, it has to do with orientation and reorientation. Because I tell you that, like they say in Nigeria, if you want to hide something from a Nigerian, hide it in a book. Even I'll tell you that even the educated ones who know, who can read and interpret the Constitution, they'll tell you who Constitution help. And that is the truth. They will tell you who Constitution help. I be lawyer where I go to read them. As if that book is just meant for lawyers alone, for them to be able to defend their clients at the election tribunals or in courts. And that is not and that is not it. So we have been doing it, at least like the National Orientation Agency has offices in the 18 local government areas of the states. And officers in these local government areas are recruited from amongst the indigenes who not only speaks the language but understand the cultures and norms and values of the people. So interpretation of the constitution is not a problem to these officers. And they are the one who are the driving force of this education of the people on the details, on the contents of the constitution. And it is ongoing, it has always been there.
All right. Thank you very much for that, sir. I'm sort of curious, and my curiosity lead me to the question. Do you think that the ordinary Nigerians really understand their relationship with their government? Do you sincerely think they do?
I will say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that an average Nigerian, for example, knows the purpose of governance. An average Nigerian knows that this man, that at the local government level, you have the local government chairman supported by elected councillors and then supported by the executive appointed supervisory councillors. And they know the responsibility why this man is elected as a local government chairman. That he's not elected there to just go there for self-aggrandizement. He's going there, he's supposed to go there as a servant of the people and not to lord it over the people. Same for the councillors and the supervisory councillors. It's the same thing at the state level and at the federal level. Yes. No. Then, if it comes to the no, it is because they pretend not to know, because a few of them are picking the crumbs that fall from their supposed master's table. So they turn their ears. They pretend not to know what they are supposed to, because they are directly benefiting. Like somebody said a few days ago that if you are a part of the structure, forget others, which is not supposed to be. I don't know if I'm communicating.
Yeah, sure.
So, I've answered the yes. It is the no now. When you're talking of the nexus, the connection, whether the people actually know, the connection, that is the role of government, of governance, of our elected public officers or politically exposed persons. Let me put it that way. We know, my brother, we just pretend because I am benefiting. So, concern anybody if any other person they suffer. And that is the truth. It's just like asking to say, somebody saying now that, he's unaware that there will be a general election in 2023 and that the present tenure, the tenure of the present administration will elapse. People will go to the polls and by May 29th, all of them will cease to be and new persons will come in. All of us will know, my brother, what some of us, instead of preparing now to begin to prepare the ground, to examine conscientiously the performances of all elected, political office holders. They are thinking of how, where, and where to belong, the platform to belong. Oh, I beg, whether I believe in him or not, if I go join, I wear in cap, I wear in t-shirt, something go drop. That is exactly what is happening. So all of us Nigerians, we know, down to the woman in the community, they will tell you when you're talking about the internet is vote buying, vote selling, and vote buying. You see somebody will take 5,000 as low as 1,000 naira. You say, I beg, make I take an this one be mommy and see. If I not take anything for, if I vote finish, now I no go see them. Forgetting that when you take that 1,000 naira, you have mortgaged not only your future, that of your entire household, your community in the next 4 years. The person, whatever you say, it does not concern. It's not that because they say if you cannot beat them, you join them. And I wonder how that is a part of joining. when you collect 1,000 naira to sell your conscience. What kind of thinking is that? Warped and absurd thinking. It is odd. And like we say in Nigeria, an error.
I think the founding fathers of Nigeria, even though Nigeria is actually quite young as a country, our experience is quite young. We only got independent in 1960. To pretend that in 1960 to today we'll be able to create a robust nation, I think we will be lying to ourselves because it requires a lot of years to build a nation. But of course, where we are is far from where we are supposed to be, if in any case. Now, I want to believe that there are some structures out there. A good example will even be this National Orientation Agency, that the system is looking for a way to sort of stand in between the people and the government. I want you to clarify again for us. Because you are the head of the National Orientation Agency in Edo State. When the
Yes.
people of Edo State look at you, what do they expect?
Well, look, my agency, like I say, is a service agency. What they look normally, what they look on to say when we go out, is a routine. We are in the field. We are very mobile. The first thing they say is, now we will not they talk to. Now, no, they talk to our leaders. That is the orientation. That is the mindset. They expect us to go and talk to the politically exposed person, those who are holding sensitive positions. What we tell them is, who elected these persons? That is why we are talking to you to say, look, we are telling you now, we are educating you on your importance, that you are a critical stakeholder in the electoral process, and that the constitution and the country exists because of you. You have the demographic, it is superior to those who hold elected position. And at the end of the day, when you look at it, for example, how many state governors do you have? 36. How many local government chairmen? 770, six, seven, yes, so 764, no, 774. You understand? LGS. And then you have just one president. How many members of the National Assembly? In the House of Reps, 360. In the Senate, 109. Then at the time you times the number of House of Assembly in the 36 states, they are not up to 3,000. And that is the truth. They are all 4,000. And then this is a country of almost 200. And at the time you remove the voting population, let me say for now, as the last one, I think it was 80 million Nigerians registered. Maybe at the end of this current exercise, maybe almost 100 million Nigerians would have registered to vote. So who has the superior demographic at least to dictate who to be there? That is what we tell them. That is what we are telling you now, your importance. That with this your vote, you can make the difference. You share this toga of apathy that it does not concern me. Because when you show indifference, you refuse to register. Even when you registered, you refuse to go collect your card. Even when you collect it, you trade it. Somebody comes to say, I'll give you 200 naira. Make you give me your card. You say, after what I want to can do, you trade it away. You are doing yourself now. You are doing yourself. But when you know the importance, say, yes, I want to deepen democracy. I want to be a voice, a positive voice that will effect a positive change. You believe in an individual. He has that pedigree. He has, antecedents. He has done well in his private or public life. And you believe if he's given opportunity, even if it's not a money bag, that he will deliver. There are people too who will think like you and vote for him. It happened in France now. Macron, who just won a second term, nobody gave him a chance. He's young, he's vibrant. The people believed in him. When they thought, oh, the old will not allow him, but he's there. It can happen here. That is why personally, we at the National Orientation Agency, we are happy with the current frenzy, amongst the youth to register. that at least they want to make a difference in next year's election, 2023. I just hope they'll be bold enough to walk the talk.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that is true. I believe that if the people understand that they are actually powerful, they will that they have the possibility of making a change, they will make the change, of course. But one thing I'm sort of thinking now is that maybe it's just my thought. Is it in the interest of the Nigerian ruling elites that the Nigerian populace understand that the power actually belongs to them? Is it in their interest to do this?
Well, they don't have a choice, definitely. Like I said, the constitution is very clear that sovereignty belongs to the people, and that the purpose of government is clear too: welfare and security of the people. That is the cardinal objective of governance. And it is the people who will make this realizable if they know the power they have and they activate that power and deploy it to use to elect candidates of their choice and not the one they are influenced to. These are two different things. Electing candidate of my choice and not electing the one I am influenced to because I have compromised my integrity. This is what we teach. This is our message to the people. There is the build up now to the 2023 election. We have commenced aggressive sensitization. What the information we are giving out now is voter information. Go and register. We are telling them the importance of registration and what that means, that it is very, very critical to ensure not just a successful election, but a credible election. A situation, for example, where you have, look, let me look. They are job in election in Osun now. Yeah, the figure is even high. But where you have over 1 million registrants in a state, and at the end of the day, less than 300,000 will vote. Tell me what kind of credibility. At the time you actually you want to do statistics, you want to stratify, you understand, data, you discover that, I mean, the voting those who actually came out to vote is less than maybe 10 or 20%. When you are not getting up to 50% of registered voters to vote, I don't think if you really want to be realistic, you will not say oh, at least the credibility will not be there because the population was absent. But like they say, you make do with what you have, because on election day, for example, nobody is going to go to begin to move from house to house to say, come and vote, come and vote, come and vote. That is why we are trying to break this apathy. And I'm telling you that we have succeeded. Well, at least by next year, the apathy we witnessed in the past will not be there because of the enthusiasm of the people in registration. You see the way people are trooping to register and they are collecting cards because they know that yes, we cannot remain like this. We must change. We must effect a positive change. We must bring in people we believe, like I said, have the pedigree. They have all it takes to turn things around for the better.
Yeah, that is the way it's supposed to be. Only that sometimes again and again, what we usually see coming up, okay, not only the one that we usually see is maybe at the seat of the presidency and all that. They really do not represent the best because the people, if the people understand the power that they have, they usually should pick the best among them to speak for them. That is why it is the people at the center are powerful, because the people at the center, their power is not a philosophy. They really do have the power. But this power comes from the people. Because Nigeria is more than 200 million people. Each of them have delegated part of their power to the central. That is why the central is powerful. But that power is supposed to be used for the interest of the
of the
individual
people.
Nigeria that delegated, because they are supposed to be servant for the people. All right,
Of
we
course.
are all Nigerians. You have family in Nigeria. I have family there. You have mother, father, children there like me. Can we really say, sir, can you say that the government that we have or that we have till now have been doing this work, which is working for the individual Nigerian people? Can you say that?
You see, what? Yes, I want to say yes. Any government that comes in has manifestos. You get what I'm saying? Definitely, no. Any government that comes in has an agenda, and the agenda is at least to better the lots of the people. And like I said, you have the leaders and you have the followers. Me, I still believe very strongly that whatever we, that the situation like the country we are in today, it is because of all the variables I highlighted before. That is why this country is not moving forward. You talk of ethnicity, you talk of religion, primordial interests or sentiments. Yes, and that is it. Now my person did there, so even if you dey waka with your head, you no concern me. But the moment you are not there, nobody is talking of merit. We are just talking of, quota. We are talking of irrelevancies, things that will not actually move this country forward. I've told you now how a poor me sat for and won a government scholarship. It was because those who were then, who ran their affairs then, were upright. They had character, they had integrity. They were not looking at to say, oh, this is where this one is from. Oh, he has nobody, nobody has put in a word for him, or like what is happening now. That is replete. Honestly, I know times are hard, but if we told that line, like I know you made allusion to our founding fathers and all that, well, we are just 61, 62 years old, we're still too young. Like me, if you see me in person at 59, I don't consider myself young anymore. So the country is just a few years older. At least I was born 4 years after independence, and I enjoyed. At least I grew up to enjoy certain things. I expected that as I'm growing, my children will even enjoy better than what I had growing up. But it's like looking back, I pity them, honestly. And so that we are where we are. And when you compare us, a time it was that at least we were at par economically with Asian tigers. Can you say that now? It's not a good commentary, a compliment at all. They have left us behind. That Malaysia in the 60s came to Nigeria to pick, oil palm, the seedlings. And today, yes, from 94, but today it is the leading world producer. Palm oil is the mainstay of that country's economy. It has been the leader, that has transformed the country technologically. You understand? And yet here we are. And the same country, Nigeria, we are importing oil. And that is why today in Nigeria we have, the proclivity to import anything under the sun, including toothpick, when we have a comparative advantage to produce these same items. It is because of our warped values. Yes, we no longer believe in ourselves, what we produce, what we grow. We now look out. Well, what I would say is because of the desecration of our value system or of our westernization, without common sense, without wisdom. It's really sad. So this has nothing to do. Look, I know you say, look, like they say, a man must hold his manhood to give you his urine a sense of direction. As the leaders are given, are we towing that line? Are we the followers not sabotaging the efforts of our leaders? You need to look, it's two ways, the two-way thing. It's two sides of a coin. I'm not saying the leaders are saints 100%. No. But we the followers, majority of us, we are saboteurs. Because we just believe in no go work. We don't believe in the system. And that is the truth. The mindset of an average Nigerian is there is nothing and anything government cannot and never work. And that negative mindset is what we are working assiduously diligently at the national orientation to change through our orientation and reorientation of the people.
It's sometimes it's a little bit complex, the Nigerian experiment. You see, your generation, when you were in school, benefited a lot from a functioning system. From then up to until now, the system is not functioning. We are like a broken car. And this broken car is not even on a hard surface so that you can push it. This broken car is inside what they call sand, inside sandy soil. It is difficult to push a broken car inside a sandy soil. Now, I want to believe that the job that the National Orientation Agency does have to do with the image of the Nigerian people. Am I correct, sir?
Sure.
Okay. What
Not just
image?
image, not just image, the psyche,
Okay.
the orientation of the people.
Actually, that is where I'm going. What
Uh-huh.
image, what kind of mentality, what kind of thinking does, because I usually say, even of course, when we talk of the United States where people just take gun and start shooting, they say, okay, so people have the right, they have the Fourth Amendment, okay, we have right to defend ourselves and things like that. It have gone past the time when maybe we were just four cow inside the forest and we could do what we like. It doesn't, as an organized society, you can't do what you like. There is a law, and there are those who uphold the law. You only need to do what the law permits you to do. In this
Yes.
sense, there is a national narration in Nigeria. There is a way Nigerian people are supposed to behave. That is why we have a collective identity that is called Nigeria. Otherwise, it doesn't have to exist. If we all swore allegiance to the flag of Nigeria, that flag must represent something. If I go out to France and I go out in the name of Nigeria, I must speak in alignment with that. If that is correct, what is the mentality the Nigerian government is trying to pass to the Nigerian people through this agency? What is supposed to be the job that is going to be done so that you are going to say, okay, it has been fulfilled? What are you working to achieve as an agency, both from the federal office in Abuja to the states?
You see, I want to take this question, I want to answer it holistically. I want to take it as a whole. I want to look at the country, Nigeria, and the citizens. Like I told you a background when we started, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is amended, which is the ground norm of this current political dispensation, has prescribed the rules. What to say, this is the responsibility of government to citizens. And then as citizens, these are your obligations. Obligation of government and the responsibility of citizens. For example, that you'll be law abiding. You perform your civic duties, civic rights. You obey the rule of law. This is what government will do. It's there. Provide this apart from the basic rights, right to life, right to all this, right of movement. Now the question arises, as an individual, do I believe in the ideals of this country? like you said earlier, the ideals of our founding fathers. At the National Orientation Agency, at least we have critically examined the Constitution and then the moral, decadence in the society. And then we have written memos and position papers which have been accepted. For example, we know that religion, when it comes to functions and all the rest, religion plays a key role. And then we say, look, to settle that, because Nigeria is a secular state, we made a position paper which was adopted, which was approved by the Federal Executive Council. We say to douse that, for example, instead of calling Christians and Muslims to pray, let us adopt the second stanza of the national anthem as our national prayer. That is number one. And when you look at those words, you just know it just flows. That is one. That is, first of all, to inculcate the fact in every citizen that first and foremost we are one. Whether you are from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west, wherever you are from, first of all, see yourself as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You made allusion to the United States of America. A citizen of the United States of America is ready to die for that flag. That is patriotism. Is that one here? How many Nigerians, for example, this from your kindergarten now, some of us never had the opportunity, the rare privilege of attending kindergarten, pre and all the rest of nursery. We just went straight primary one with your head, your hand across your head, you touch the other earlobe, and then you are qualified for primary. You are old enough to go to primary one. So you are taught how to sing the national anthem. You are taught how to recite the national plague. I'm telling you now that majority of Nigerians, those who are well heeled educationally, they deliberately refuse, even when they know, to respect or sing the national anthem or to respect the symbol of our nation, the national flag. We have national monuments and symbols. How are they treated by the common man? That is where patriotism, that is where you begin to have respect and be proud of your country. So at the National Orientation Agency, we have gone beyond just telling people the colors of the national flag. We're telling them the ideas, what it stands for, how that flag was designed, one Akin Kumi, what the green, white, green stand for, the national coat of arms, all items there, what they stand for, what they represent, every word of the national pledge, our currency, the need to rest, all these ones, for example. This, look, we just recently the federal government came out with this national integrity policy. And that is what we are driving now. In secondary schools, in primary schools, we have set up integrity clubs to inculcate in these children, to let them, is a part of, it has even been integrated into the academic curriculum. You're talking of civics, social studies. Yes, to really teach them the customs and traditions of the people, the values of the people, and then family values. And then for us to begin to inculcate, to say, look, the family is the first, is the basic, the first place where you get your education. Family values. And then when you start from there, gradually it grows, it blossoms. So the National Orientation Agency, like I've said, is embedded in every community, the nooks and crannies of this state, and by extension, the 774 local government areas, all the wards, to ensure at least educating from the primary, secondary, through these clubs, to begin to catch them young, because young minds are impressionable minds. They are still malleable. Whatever they learn at that level is unlike when they grow. You say fish we don't dry, they know they bend down, it go break. But at that level, they are malleable, they are impressionable mind. That is why we are targeting them. So that when they say the youths are the leaders of tomorrow, we are breeding a new generation of Nigerians through
Thank you
our
for that.
activities at this level.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Many Nigeria want to hear that. I think that is what this job is supposed to be, to build the people, because the people, the youth of the nation, of course, the youth are already beyond what can actually be molded, because they have already been molded. But the little ones are the ones that are going to be molded. But we cannot
Yes.
imagine that they are going to mold themselves into the character that we want. France do not do that. UK certainly do not do that. And America do not do that. They choose what they want and they educate the people accordingly. So that when they are choosing who is to become the leader, they are not like going to pick anybody. Look at Joe Biden, for example. I think from the age of 19, that is when he has been there where he is, until he finally become the president of the country. So I believe that we must also have a dream like this. We must dream with the people, that we must be going to the same direction. Now, you were saying before that some Nigerians do not respect the national symbols of the country, that the Nigeria coat of arms, the national item, the flag, and the rest of it. Is it possible that the country somehow has not inculcated it enough in them? For this, they don't understand why they should do that. Is it possible like that? That maybe this work has not been done to plant this value in them while they were still young?
In every 12, there must be Judas. You can imagine, I think it was in 1978 that the old national anthem, Nigeria we hail thee, that it was changed. To let you know, as of today, I can still sing that old national anthem, all the two stanzas. Those born in 1978, when the new Arise of Compatriots took effect, till now, even when they are taught, like I said, they have refused to imbibe and internalize it because of this, I don't know, like I mentioned, over westernization, influence of not just intrusion and influence of Western culture. It has not helped us at all. So that is what has changed the psyche and orientation of this present generation of youths. You can see that from the way they behave, the way they dress, the way they speak, what they do, even in school. I remember when I was in school, for example, primary school or secondary school, I cannot stand when I see my teacher coming. I will disappear. Even if I will remain, I will maintain, you understand, a kind of candor, you understand, because I know my teacher. If I'm improperly dressed, in short, I will check myself and check myself over and over again because my teacher is coming. But now, that is not the case. Although during my time, there was no proliferation of private schools, what we had majorly was public schools. Though we had very few private schools that were maybe in places like Lagos. You talk of Corona and Co. Apart from that, as far as I know, in my local government area, there was no single private school. And I believe at the time I went to primary school and secondary school, you could still count on your finger the number of private schools there were. I don't know, this proliferation, definitely, I will, my personal opinion, a regulation of them, because to me, there are two different things. Academics excellence without sound moral education, it will take you nowhere. The two are complementary. I don't know if I'm communicating.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Also, the way you started the conversation, this response was very, very interesting. Uh, okay. The other day, I was talking with a linguist, uh, in US. Then, of course, we were talking about Nigeria language. Then I was saying, I don't understand it. Why, for example, of course, this is not only happening in Nigeria, but in many other African countries, where most of our elected officials pretend to be European in their speaking, in their dressing, in everything, and they tell the ordinary people, "Love your country, love your culture." But if we are going to love our culture, let everybody love our culture. Look at Nigeria, for example. There are actually four important languages to choose from in Nigeria if we really want to be proud of this country. One of them is to pick one of the three eh, predominant languages in Nigeria, which is either Hausa, Igbo, or Yoruba. The third one, which is everyone speaks in Nigeria, is the Pidgin English. Everybody in Nigeria speaks Pidgin English.
Yes.
Why can't the Nigerian government, for example, adopt that one as the official language of Nigeria? Instead of calling it a pidgin English, we can call it the Nigerian English. Just like, for example, in the United States, they got their English from Britain, but their English is different. They speak it differently. They write it even differently in some of the senses. Canada. What about Australia? What about South Africa? So I think when we are talking of our identity as a people, the currency and the military is not enough. Even the way we speak, the way we talk about ourselves, I think this one should make sense. I want to ask you, have you ever seen somebody making that suggestion that the English we call pidgin or the pidgin English in Nigeria could possibly become the Nigeria official language? Because currently, why I'm asking the question is that currently in Nigeria, we are using two official languages, both the American English and the British English. So it is actually confusing. So help me with that.
Well, when it comes to language, I want to situate it with Nigerian environment. Agreed, the lingua franca is English. I think it is when you go into the specifics, you begin to say, oh, we use both the British and the American. I remember when I wrote my WAEC in 1979, it was specific, it was British. It was later day that I think both examination bodies allowed the use of that you can intersperse. During my time, it was strictly British. Anything outside that, you go. Now back to the Nigerian situation. We run a federation, a confederal. The states are not vassal to federal. What I mean is every state has the right, every state house of assembly has the right to determine the medium of expression it wants to use at these sittings. Because I'm aware that there are some states in this country that they use indigenous language during plenary. So when you're talking of a new lingua franca outside the English we have adopted, personally, if you look at the school curriculum at the primary and secondary level, there is native language, like let me say in Edo State, for example. In the secondary school curriculum and primary school, you have Edo language, you have Ishan, you have Afemai. And then even in NECO and WAEC, you have Hausa, you have Igbo, you have Edo, you have Yoruba, and some other, languages you even think they are minority. They are there. So I think the essence of this is, and even in the university, there are universities that offers degree courses, degree programs. on all these indigenous languages. It is a way of encouraging indigenization. I know what you are saying to us, okay, a senator could stand up to speak, the senator representing Edo South, for example, could stand up to speak in Edo. The senator in, from Edo North could speak Afemai, or the one from Edo Central could speak, what is it called now? Ishan. Agreed. But you discover that, like in the United Nations, they have the technology, for example, to simultaneously transcribe and interpret languages in all the languages of member states of the United Nations, true of us. I think that is what we should subscribe to, that we should modernize, so that at the time you could elect to speak in Esa language, and then the man from Benin, I'm using Edo State House of Assembly for example, the man from Edo North and all the rest, the system will transcribe it to his own language that he will understand. So I think that is where we need to start from, so that we begin to shift away from this English. But one other thing is, across the world, for example, English is a medium of communication, just as French, German, and then of course in South Africa you have Swahili. So I think we need it's going to be a systemic or systematic thing, a gradual process. I think with time we will get there. But for now, every state house of assembly has the right to decide the language in addition to English language. I don't want to mention it, but there are state houses of assembly in all the geopolitical zones that elect to speak the indigenous language during plenary.
That is already interesting enough. You see, now me, I'm looking at the language as a strategic instrument too, also for the country. The point is this: um, if we use anyway, at the moment, it's not really clear. I repeat again, which language we're actually using in Nigeria, because we are using. I'm talking of the lingua franca now, which is English. I'm talking of the version
It's
of English.
English. No, the
Yeah,
lingua franca is English.
yeah.
Forget about the American or the British, whatever. English to us is English. It's because maybe I'll say, look, you are educationally advantaged. That is why you know that is a mixture. It has to do with the spelling, just like labor and labor. The spellings are different. The British and the but one thing is, what is the significance objective of language? It is to communicate. You understand? Once you are able to encode and somebody, the listener, decodes, I think communication has taken place. I think, to me, I would just I would suggest we just allow that lay low.
Well, anyway, it's something that we hear, because here we think aloud. We are thinking what we are saying, what we are thinking. I would think it would make sense that in a country like Nigeria, when you are coming to Nigeria, you need to learn the Nigerian language. We need to have a way of communicating among ourselves. That you know. Anyway, I'm not going to drag that beyond that, but let leave it that way. Now, in a practical sense of it, in a practical term, what is the National Orientation Agency doing to sensitize the people in a way that they can understand what is actually the message that the government want to pass to them? And I believe that you are standing in between the people and the government, in that the people can
Yes,
also
that
send
is.
message to the government through you. Is it correct?
That's why my opening statements, when I just gave a brief about the mandate
Oh,
of the agency, I said we
okay.
act as a feedback channel, and I
Mhm.
broke that one down. We stand between the people and the government. That's why
Mhm.
we act as a feedback channel.
Thank you so much for that. It's a very interesting agency, as it were. Now,
Yes.
what is the agency doing in the practical sense of it to sensitize? I know you have mentioned some before, but I want you to reinforce some of this work that you are doing to help the people to understand the message from the government and then pass the message back to the government through you.
Yes, you see, our job is omnibus. Omnibus in the sense that apart from the main one, which I've just broken down because we have our functions, we have our objective, but which I just broken down to sensitization and education of citizens on government policies, programs, and activities, and then to sufficiently mobilize them to support same. They are now talked of that feedback channel. You see, every situation, like I said, we have offices in all the local government areas. I'm using Edo State as a case study. 18 local government areas, we have officers who are well seasoned. They have been trained. They know their onions and they are sourced indigenously. In other words, they are indigenous of their immediate environment, the local government areas where they are serving. Let me go to Edo Central, for example. The officers we have there are all ace and sons and daughters. Those working with them are ace and sons and daughters. So communication is not a problem when it comes to communicating this education, this sensitization to the people. Let me give you an idea. Like this ongoing continuous voter registration exercise, for example, the medium of communication is a language. And how do they do this? They use both formal and informal channels to reach out to the people. Formal, it could be by way of gathering people together. Informal, it could be, at least, in every community, for example, you have rest days where the Eunoge, for example, will gather people, that's the day they settle intra disputes, family quarter disputes. And then we seize on that platform. We have we have a facility mapping of these free days, when I mean rest days, of all the communities in the state. And so our officers go there. The medium of communication, of course, will be a language to tell them, oh, it is a registration. We tell them who and who is qualified to register, where to go to register, what you need to do to take along to register, and then the venues and the time for registration. And that is only Nigerians who will register. That is one. Let me use in 2020, for example. Nobody expected COVID-19. The national orientation sufficiently informed the people, educated them on what COVID-19 is, the symptoms, what to do, and where to go to referrals. The non-pharmaceutical interventions, all these ones were broken down in local dialects, supported with IEC material done in this local dialects sufficiently. Not just that one, it could be health, it could be education, it could be agriculture, in every sector, in every facet of human life or endeavor. We are there. Like population is coming next year, the National Population Commission. We're equally sensitizing Nigerians on the modalities. INEC has introduced new, had digitized election, the voting system elections. They have started with this off-season, whatever, with the introduction of beavers. We are communicating this to the people to bring them up to speed with the current realities of the voting procedure for next year. So you see, we're in touch with the people directly. That's why I say we use both formal and informal channels. We go to markets, we go to churches, worship centers, churches, mosques. We go to ceremonies, association meetings, union meetings, and all the rest. There are community-based, faith-based organizations, NGOs. community-based organizations. We have links with the traditional institutions. We have opinion molders and influencers in every community. Those people that when they talk in every community, so people look up to them. They respect that they are not being tainted in any way. Some have served meritoriously and retired as senior citizens. They have their integrity intact. So people listen to them, they respect them. These are the people we use to disseminate our informations in the communities.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that. I'm sure the Nigerian people appreciate that too. Now,
Yes.
based on the job that you are doing today, um, where do you see the future of this country in terms of the image and the national identity?
Well, to me, I see light at the end of the tunnel. Yes. Things definitely will become rosy. You see, one thing is when you discover yourself, you rediscover yourself, then you are on your way to stardom, to growth, to development. I think that is what I envisage with the National Orientation Agency. Because I want to proudly say that the current fervor, frenzy of people, not just youths now, of those who hitherto were lethargic, were apathetic to registration, they are trooping out. It's because of the saturation of the sensitization messages, the awesome powers conferred on every individual by the Constitution. So it's like a reawakening of that consciousness. It has been landed or passive. It has become dominant and active. And that is where they're going. To me, it is kudos to us, to the National Orientation Agency, for making that happen. Like you say, orientation is not 100 meters dash. It is a continuous process. At times people imagine that it is a marathon. I mean, it is a 100 meters dash. It is a marathon. It is a continuous process. It is with time, through the positive change of attitude and behavior of citizens, when they begin to manifest, and it is happening now like a whirlwind. I promise you, by next year, the very first election that will happen, presidential, February 25th, you will see the crowd. It's going to be a tsunami. Because the people are conscientized, they are aware of their awesome powers, and they are ready. To me, the future is bright. Bright in the sense that at least with the frenzy of activity, with the volume of work done by my agency, the National Orientation Agency, an average Nigerian, who either was lethargic or who had, apathy, was indifferent to the political happenings around him, has been his consciousness has been reawakened. He's now conscious of his political environment. He's now conscious of the awesome powers he has as conferred on him by the Constitution, and is ready to deploy that power, at least to elect credible candidates in 2023. And you can see that, like I said, from the friends, if you actually visit registration centers, you see the crowd of potential registrants. Those who have even lost their cards deliberately, they are going for revalidation, to get fresh ones for renewal. At least it's a positive direction, a pointer to what will happen in 2023. And I ended up by saying that in 2023, Nigeria will not only shake the world, it will shock the world. To say, like they say, according, the Western world now believe that Nigeria is a giant that is sleeping. Maybe they say, oh, the giant has woken up from his slumber. To me, it's not that we are sleeping, no, but that is for the Western world. We are going to shock them. We will show them that, yeah, this is Nigeria. And you can see from the off-season election that I've just held, the Ekiti election and Oshun election that I held uh, day before yesterday, or yesterday. And you see that at least the improvement on the electoral process by the electoral umpire INEC. To me, it is just a test run. And if this continues, definitely, because most people say, I don't want to vote because my vote no go count. But votes are counting. They have always counted. It is because the people refuse to turn out. And when they turn out, they don't stand to see to make their vote count. Because, like they say, if there's no cleavage in the wall, for example, the lizards will not have anywhere to hide. Or if the wall is standing, for example, can the goat strut over it? No. It is a falling wall that the goat will climb now. So when the people, that is the same time that when the people know that, like, they are aware now, they are awake, they know that with this my card, I can do wonders. At least even those seeking elective offices, not even those who are there, they are sitting tight. They are arranging themselves, you understand, because it is no longer business as usual. And that is the truth. And it is still not going to be business as usual in next year's election. Things have changed. Yes, the narrative definitely has changed. And the National Orientation Agency has contributed positively, magnificently, to effect that change, to make that impact.
Now, what would be your final thought here to conclude the conversation? We started, of course, with a beautiful beginning of you, which, of course, that is what we hope for every Nigeria, where the individual people that make up the more than 200 million people in Nigeria should count, where those who deserve it can actually be given without necessarily knowing somebody who need to tell somebody to help them.
My parting shots will be that, one, as citizens, we should be patriotic citizens. We should be proud of who we are. We should be proud of our country, Nigeria. We should refrain from doing those negative things that will further drag the image of the country down, or drag it or bring it to ridicule. We must respect public institutions. Number one, we must respect public institutions. We must not denigrate them. We must be patriotic enough to perform our civic duties. We must cooperate with the relevant agencies to ensure their ultimate performance. Like they say, if you see something, say something. Like the issue of security, for example. Security is not meant alone a duty or functions of uniform or the security agencies. In civilized climes, or abroad, for in foreign land, for example, citizens drive that security by providing robust intelligence information. They volunteer this information because they want these institutions to succeed. But here, that is not so. Instead, we aid and abet. We bring in snippet, we bring in ethnicity, we bring in religion, we bring in tribes, primordial interests and sentiments. We must obey the rule of law, equity, social justice. If Nigerians are citizens, we do the right thing, the country will move forward. Things will become right. That is, if every citizen, for example, do the right thing. That is why our slogan is, at the National Orientation Agency, do the right thing, move Nigeria to greatness. If I keep doing the wrong thing, the other man is doing the wrong thing, it will just be motion without movement, my brother. Like I said, the population of followers is more than the leaders. And the followers must decide whether we want to be stagnant or static or remain where we are. It lies in us. And I just hope by His grace, with this current favor, patriotism in citizens, as I see today, definitely we're on the march to regaining our lost glory.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate the time and also the contribution, the lecture, and the learning.
It's my pleasure.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening and talk to you in the next episode.